Welcome to today's discussion on search patterns. Search patterns is something about the search strings. Search strings means what you search in the search engine. When I say what you search in the search engine, it doesn't mean that for what information you are searching. What I mean is that what text you are putting in the text box. And the today's discussion will be on how to put the text. For example, if I need something from the internet and if somebody else also needs the same information from the internet, both of us, when we search separately, the results are going to be different. The reason, the way we formulated the text in the text box is different. Suppose I input the information I need in one particular way, and my friend is also inputting the information in the same way in the search engine. And one important thing is, in both the cases search engines are the same, the only thing is that machines are different. So the results will be the same, and when we are doing it almost simultaneously. However, in case we are using different search engines, the results may be different, and also in case we are inputting the information we need in a different manner, even then the results are going to be different. But the most important thing is that getting the information sought from the search engine, from the internet ultimately. So for that we need to formulate the information we need from the internet through the search engine in such a way that we really get what we are looking for with not many choices. So the objectives of today's discussion will be to introduce various search patterns for searching internet and also to learn to search internet using specific search engines. Now let us see what are search patterns. We will start with an example and then we will see how this example is going to impact the way we search for information on the internet. Suppose you are hungry and you walk into a restaurant. The waiter comes to you to know what you would like to have. You say that you want food to eat. So please remember, you are saying you want food to eat. You are not specifying anything particular. You are very hungry. So you said, I just need some food to eat. On this demand, the waiter brings you 100 dishes, all that are available on the menu card of that restaurant. Maybe if he is having 100 different dishes, each one set. So 100 dishes you get. So it will not only be impossible for you to eat, rather it will be impractical to even find out the dish you want to eat. You will be so much confused that what you should really select out of these 100 dishes, and in fact, is it possible to really select one from 100 dishes? How much time it's going to take for you? So a big heap of food will be of no use to you. You call the waiter again and order him to bring a pizza for you. So now you are a bit better. You are not saying food. Food means everything that restaurant makes, and he brought, it's around 100 dishes. Now you said bring pizza. You are specific now. So on your new demand, the waiter brings 50 types of pizzas for you, all with different toppings, with a different amount and flavors of cheese, and with different kinds of base. It is again a problem for you to select the one you would like, and there are chances that you may not like any one of all that are made available. So you call the waiter once again to specify your requirement more clearly and order for a pizza with less cheese, thin crust, with capsicum and without onion. So now you may get only 3 different pizzas, and there are fairly good chances that you would like all, and even if not, then you will not face any difficulty in selecting the one you like most. So one important thing is, which you observed here, is it all depends on what input you give about the output you get. Initially you said food. Food is a generic term. Everything falls into that category. So the search result is 100 dishes. Then you said pizza. There are a lot of types of pizzas. Which one you need? You did not specify. So when you said pizza, you got 50 types, which is very again difficult for you to select from them. Then you are a bit specific. You said a pizza with onion, flavors of cheese, you said your toppling. So you have given a clear specification, like I need a pizza with less cheese thin crust, with capsicum and without onion. So even now there are 3 types of pizzas which meet your criteria. So he brought all the 3 pizzas. So but still it is far better about selecting one when compared to selecting from 100 or 50. You have to just select one from the 3, or in case you don't need anything, that is also fine. Maybe it all depends on the restaurant's rules and regulations whether it will be charged or not, but here we are not concerned about it. We are concerned about how you gave input and how you got output. So more specific you are about what you want, you will get a efficient result from the search engine. So it all depends on us how we input. Although the example given is not realistic, but it tries to explain the importance of designing the search in such a manner that we get the best possible results in the minimum possible time span. In order to find what we need from the internet, we need to design our search query accordingly, very efficiently, clearly indicating the information we are looking for. The identification of the process of how to perform searches of online information will significantly increase our chances of finding what we want. Different search engines let us define our search criteria in a different way and with different facilities. So in case we are getting a very good result from a particular search engine for the input which we have given, we should not assume that this is the best possible formulation of the input query or search query and that this query will work for every search engine. No, every search engine is having its own rules and regulations. Every search engine is having its own semantics and syntax. So how you formulate your input basically depends on the underlying search engine. So if one search engine is performing, it doesn't mean that all the search engines will perform. There are some simple ways for designing better search. While designing a search query, parentheses play a very important role. The Boolean operators are powerful, but when used in combination with parentheses, offer substantial control over the search logic of the engine. Parentheses are used in logic similar to that in a mathematical equation, limiting and ordering relations between variables. As you know, in case we use parentheses in our search query, whatever we have given inside the parentheses will be executed first. Otherwise, the search engine will have its own order and will be executing the search query in its own rules and regulations. But if we are putting the parentheses, we are telling to the search engine that first compute whatever is present inside and then do the remaining work. So it gives top priority to the information whatever is present in the parentheses. For example, if you want to find a tutorial on Cosmos, you can use the search criteria Cosmos and tutorial or lesson. So basically, now let us just briefly think about what we are looking for. We are looking for some information on the Cosmos. So we want a tutorial on Cosmos or we need a lesson from the Cosmos. So either a tutorial or a lesson will satisfy us. So we decide to search it in the internet, and for searching we need a search engine, and we open the search engine and we type Cosmos and A&D, and then we put in the parenthesis tutorial or lesson. So Cosmos and tutorial or lesson. So here in the parenthesis we have what is called tutorial or lesson. So it means that either tutorial will do or lesson will do. That is one option, that is one mandatory thing. The second thing is we are saying Cosmos and A&D, and AND means whatever is there to the left of the and to the right of the and are mandatory. So whatever search engine searches for, it has to search for the Cosmos as well as a tutorial or a lesson. So it means that it can be Cosmos and a tutorial, it can be Cosmos and a lesson. It will run both the queries, and whatever it finds, it will be outputting them at the search result. So this has become possible because we are using parentheses, then we are also using the logical operators and or. So such types of queries will give us better results. Now suppose I say Cosmos, tutorial, lesson, then the output is going to be so huge. It doesn't mean that if I am using and or parenthesis, the output is not going to be huge. Even then the output may be huge, but it will be more larger in case we are not using any operators and we just say Cosmos comma tutorial comma listen, and then it will be very difficult for us to really find which is the best output for our search. So, we should always give information to the search engine about the information we are looking for. The document searched must contain both of the words Cosmos and tutorial or Cosmos and listen. Basically, the parentheses are used for the distribution property same as in mathematics to distribute the keyword Cosmos to either of the two R words inside of the symbols. Some engines offer Boolean logic with radio buttons or pull down menu choices such as search results must include all terms are equivalent to using the operator A and D. It is a logical operator, which means that everything whatever you mentioned in your search query should be matching with whatever information that is output, or documents must include any terms, which means that it is equal to using the OR option. So, when we are using the OR operator, the left and right arguments can be one of them true. It is not essential that both of them, but either of them should be true. So, like this we can formulate the query using parenthesis and as well as our logical operator. Some other search engines offer the ability to limit searches by the creation dates of the web pages. So, this is something wherein we will be giving the dates from this date to that date. So, it will be searching only for those dates and it will be outputting the information. In fact, there are n number of options when we are going for search. More options we complete or more options we give, the more efficient will be the search output. This may work out to be a powerful tool if you are regularly searching on a specific topic. This feature can limit the results to pages created since your last search and is very useful when you are searching for topics in current events. For example, Yahoo, which is a search engine, it offers pull down menu or radio buttons for search option. While Hotbot offers the ability to specify dates or time frames, Google, MSN, Yahoo and some other search engines provide the ability to restrict searches to specific areas like books only, just the web, news groups, pictures, video and many more things. Now, let us briefly discuss about searching using the most popular search engine, Google. Google was launched in September 1999 and Google search is the most prominent web search engines as on date. It has a database of billions of pages that include the web. Then we can search for images on the Google using the images.google.com. We can search for groups as well as create groups and use the groups for different purposes using the groups.google.com. Then we can learn the news from news.google.com and we can look for the books, their catalogs and other things from books.google.com. And of course, in the case of catalog, more specifically if you want to be, then it will be catalog.google.com. And so there are many such categories wherein we can directly use on the Google to get the output. Google is one of the most used search engines in the market. So it is important to list your website on the Google. This inclusion is free of cost. However, Google offers paid services also for the promotion of sites. Now let us see about the working of Google search engine. Let us learn the basics of Google, which is the most popular search engine. The basic working of Google is based on 3 steps. The query is sent from the web server to the index servers. The information managed by index servers is quite similar to the index at the back of a book, and it tells that which pages contain the words matching to the specific query term. So, see, this is very important. Here the word index has been used again. Now, let us consider a book. Okay. Now, you are looking for a specific topic. For example, let me say you are looking for something on the deep learning. Okay. So, the title of the book does not use the word deep learning, and in the chapter information also it is not used. So, you do not know whether that book really discusses about deep learning or is having any information related to deep learning. So, the third option is that you open the book, go to the last pages where you find the index. In that index, look for deep learning, and index words or index terms are always organized in an alphabetic manner. So when you go to the option D, because deep learning starts with a D, there you may find that particular phrase deep learning, and in case you find there are adjacent page numbers, so you can directly go to the page numbers and find the information about the deep learning. And another option is that suppose the phrase deep learning doesn't exist, so it means that in this entire text most probably that phrase doesn't exist. So maybe that book is of not much interest to you, but you have to remember one thing: a phrase not appearing in the index doesn't mean that there may not be any information about it. Sometimes the information may be there, it must have skipped the index, but normally whenever we are going to the specific meaning terms such as deep learning, in case it is not present in the index, it means that the book doesn't have information about it. That is what is most likely. So index creation is a very important step. The query is then sent to the document service where the stored documents are retrieved, and then the search results are then sent to the user. Now have a look at the figure which is depicting the Google search engine. A paper by Sergey Brin and Lawrence titled The Anatomy of a Large-Scale Hypertextual Web Search Engine describes how the data mining system of Google was built. In this paper, a prototype of a large-scale search engine which makes heavy use of the hypertext structure is presented. Google is designed to crawl and index the web efficiently and produce much more satisfying search results than existing systems. The prototype with a full text and a hyperlink database of millions of pages is available at google.stanford.edu. You can refer there for information related to whatever we are discussing, particularly the full text and hyperlink database of millions of pages that are available. The paper also discusses an example of how quickly their spiders can work. Initial system was built using multiple spiders, 3 at a time. Each spider was able to keep about 300 connections to web pages at a time. At its peak performance, their system could crawl over 100 pages per second using 4 spiders at a time, generating around 600 KB of data each second. Ensuring everything is running quickly requires building a system that can feed necessary information to the spiders. These spiders took a note of 2 things while searching: words within the page, location of the found words. Spiders are built to index all significant words, leaving out the miracles like the, a, and, etc. There can be different strategies for searching, like pointing the most frequently used words on the page, searching for the whole sentence including a, an, the, and other insignificant words, or indexing the most significant words in the titles. But the ultimate aim of any logic is to find the words of interest more efficiently and in the minimum possible time. Sometimes the words that we wish to search may have different meanings at different places. The same word may have double or triple meanings. The capability that can guide the search engine in deciding which of these several possible meanings is correct are indicated by the meta tags. However, over-reliance on meta tags can be risky sometimes, because a page owner might add meta tags that indicate topics that are popular but are different from the actual connections of the page. That can be because the owner of a site wants his page to be included in most of the search results, or does not want it to show on major searches, or does not want the spider to access his page. So based on the desire, it is possible that the information, title or category is listed on major search engines so that they can directly find whether the information sought by any user is present in the information that is available readily with them. So let us briefly see what are these Google search results. After going through the basics about Google search, let's look at the components and features of the search results. Now let us discuss about search results screen of Google and the interpretation of entries therein. Now let's have a look at the figure. It shows the search results screen. Please note that this screen may change when you make an actual search, as Google may change its website. Also, the look may change from time to time. You can see several components in this particular window. Now let us briefly discuss each of these elements or components. The first one is navigation bar. You can customize your search and navigate to all the products of Google. You can click the link for the service you want to use. You can search the web, browse for images, maps and videos, news and navigate to other Google products. Then there is something called search field. Here you type in a few words of interest or descriptive search terms and then press the enter key or click on the search button. Then we have what is called search button, which I have just used. We can click this button or press the enter key to submit a search query. Once we submit the search query is executed by the search engine. The information sought will be searched across and then the search results are put in a sorted manner based on their importance to the search query executed, and then the search process is stopped. Otherwise, the information we get may be very little and we may decide to search again. Then we always have many doubts when we are searching. For example, I search for something, let me say Olympics. So I get some information on the Olympics, but then I want to say that I am more interested in the information about the Olympics that are conducted in the last 2 to 3 decades. Then we need some options wherein we can mention the years so that the information that is found between those years can be output. So it is possible to do what is called advanced search offered by the Google. The links to a page on which we can make our search more precise by selecting various options available. Links to a page that allow us to set our personal preferences for search will also be present. Then some of the preferences that can be set by us using this page include language, total number of results that we would like to see in a page and many more options. Then we have what are called search statistics. Basically, it indicates the time taken by the search engine to search the current data as well as describe the total number of results. If we notice, the search engine in this example has searched for Amazon River and Brazil living aside in, this being one of the very common words. And let us see the page title portion. The first line of any search result is the title of the web page found. If instead of a title we see a URL, then either the search engine have not indexed that full content of that page or the page has no title. But this being in Google index still indicates that it may be a good match for our query. Then we have the text below the title. This is an extract from the page that has resulted from our search query terms. If we click on the page title, we can see the whole contents of that page. So the next one is URL of the result. This is the web address of the page found. So whenever we search for the information, what Google does is that it will be listing you the hyperlinks along with brief descriptions and other related information. So whatever it lists, they all are technically called URLs. URLs means Uniform Resource Locators. They are website addresses. When we click on these links, we will be going to that particular page. Another thing is the size. Basically, size of the text portion of the web page. It gives us some idea of how much time it might take to display. If the site is not yet indexed, we will not see the size of that site. Then there is one more term called cached. So whenever cached link is there, basically it will show you the contents of web page when it was indexed last time. So suppose the indexing was done let me say 2 days back. So the information that was present 2 days back will be shown. See, this thing you will be encountering many times. For example, you want 2 days news on a digital newspaper. So you will get news something which you already know and happened 2-3 days back. And then if you look at the URL of that particular website, you will find the word CACHED. So cached means basically this information is available, and now most probably the internet is down, so it is running and fetching that information and showing to us, or it did not index since then, so it's showing that information, and when we try to click on refresh, most probably this issue will get resolved. So if for some reason we are not connected to the site link of the current page, we may still find the required information in the cached version. Then there is something called similar pages. So selecting this link for a particular result, Google automatically explores the web for pages that are similar or related to this result. Now let us see how can we narrow down our search results. If we notice the search results in the following figures, like there are 2 figures, have a look at them. Okay, when we look at the search results in the both the figures, we will find that the search term words are same in both, but the search results are different. This is because of the use of quotation marks in the second figure. In the first figure, we did not use the quotation marks. So we can narrow down our search by using this technique. If we put quotation marks in our search term, then the whole search term will be considered as one search phrase. We can also further narrow down our search results by using the advanced search option. For example, have a look at the figure showing the advanced search window. To do so, we can select any or all of the options available. Some of the search options available are with all the words, with the exact phrase, with at least one of the words, and without the words. So there are many choices, we have to select one of them. We can also choose the language and region options and the required file format. In addition to all these options, we can also select the pages modified before, after, or even between specific dates. We will be looking at more and more features which we can use to get an efficient search output from the search engine, and which in turn gets the information from the internet in our future sessions. So thank you very much for joining, and in case you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to write to me on pvsuresh@igno.ac.in. Thank you very much.